The next big break you're waiting for isn't hiding out there somewhere. It's waiting on one decision you keep postponing. Let me start here, because this part matters more than people admit. Big moments don't usually announce themselves. There's no drum roll, no spotlight, no sign that says, this is it. Most life-changing decisions arrive quietly, disguised as ordinary choices. A yes you're scared to say. A no you've been trained to avoid. A moment where you either step forward or tell yourself, maybe later. And here's the truth most people don't like hearing. Your next big break doesn't come from luck, it comes from clarity. From deciding who you are when no one is watching and no one is clapping yet. A lot of people think their breakthrough will come when everything lines up, when they feel confident enough, prepared enough, supported enough. But confidence doesn't come before the decision. It comes after you make it. The people you admire didn't wake up fearless. They chose movement over comfort. They chose to act while still unsure. I've seen this again and again. The difference between people who move forward and people who stay stuck isn't talent. It's not intelligence. It's not even opportunity. It's the willingness to decide before certainty shows up. That decision might look small on the outside. Sending the message, speaking up when your voice shakes, taking responsibility instead of waiting to be rescued, choosing growth even when it costs you familiarity. These are not dramatic moments, but they are defining ones. And here's something important. You don't need permission. Waiting for approval is one of the most expensive habits you can have. If you keep waiting for someone else to validate your direction, you'll always be one step behind your own life. I know the fear that comes with deciding. Fear of getting it wrong. Fear of being judged. Fear of outgrowing people who once felt close. That fear is real. But avoiding the decision doesn't remove the fear, it just turns it into regret. And regret is heavier to carry. This isn't about being reckless. It's about being honest. Honest about what you want, honest about what's no longer working. Honest about the fact that staying where you are has a cost too. Your next big break starts the moment you stop asking, what if this fails? And start asking, what if this is exactly what moves me forward? You don't need to have the whole map. You just need to choose a direction. Momentum comes after movement, not before it. And once you decide, things begin to rearrange people, opportunities, confidence, even your own self-respect. So before anything else changes, this is the real question you have to answer. Are you willing to choose yourself before the outcome is guaranteed? That decision, quiet, uncomfortable, and deeply personal, is where everything begins. Let's talk honestly for a moment. Playing it safe sounds responsible. It sounds smart. It sounds like the mature choice, but most of the time, it's not safety you're choosing. It's familiarity. And familiarity can slowly drain your potential without you even noticing. When you play it safe, nothing explodes. Nothing goes terribly wrong, but nothing really moves either. Days start blending together. You stay busy, but not fulfilled. Productive, but not proud. And deep down, there's that quiet feeling you don't talk about much. The sense that you're capable of more, but you're not fully stepping into it. Here's the part people rarely admit. Playing it safe has a price. It costs you time. It costs you growth. It costs you the version of yourself that only shows up when you're stretched. And the longer you stay there, the harder it becomes to leave, because comfort has a way of convincing you that this is as good as it gets. You start telling yourself stories. Now isn't the right time. I just need one more sign. Once things settle down, I'll take the risk. But life doesn't settle down. There's always another reason to wait. Safety becomes a habit, and habits quietly shape your future. The people who break through aren't reckless. They're intentional. They understand that discomfort is not a warning sign. It's a signal. A signal that you're stepping into something that requires more of you. And growth always requires more of you. Think about it. Every meaningful step you've taken in life came with some level of risk. New beginnings are uncomfortable by nature. If something feels too easy, too predictable, it's probably not changing you. And let's clear something up. Taking a risk doesn't mean throwing your life into chaos. It means making calculated moves with courage. It means choosing progress even when your hands are shaking. It means trusting yourself enough to handle whatever comes next, even if it doesn't go perfectly. Playing it safe often feels like control, but real control comes from adaptability, from knowing you can adjust, learn, and recover. The strongest people aren't the ones who avoid risk. They're the ones who know they can survive it. So ask yourself this, honestly, is what you're calling safety actually protecting you, or is it slowly shrinking you? Because the truth is, the biggest risk isn't failing. The biggest risk is looking back and realizing you never really tried. And that realization stays with you far longer than any setback ever could. Your next big break isn't waiting behind perfect conditions. It's waiting on your willingness to step beyond what feels safe and trust that you're stronger than your fear. Most people don't miss their moment because they aren't ready. They miss it because they aren't willing. And that difference matters more than you think. Being ready sounds responsible. It sounds like planning, preparation, timing everything just right. But here's what no one tells you. Ready is a moving target. You can always learn one more thing, wait for one more sign, prepare a little longer. Willing, on the other hand, is a decision. This moment you say, I don't have all the answers, but I'm stepping forward anyway. Willingness is what separates thinkers from doers. You can understand everything, study everything, analyze everything, and still stay exactly where you are. Because action doesn't come from readiness, it comes from resolve. Some of the most capable people I've ever seen are still waiting. Not because they lack skill, but because they want certainty before commitment. They want guarantees before effort. But life doesn't work like that. Clarity shows up after you move, not before. Oh, willingness looks like raising your hand even when your voice might crack. It looks like applying before you feel qualified, speaking up before you're fully polished, taking responsibility before you're fully confident. And yes, sometimes it looks messy, sometimes it looks imperfect, but it's real. There's a quiet confidence that grows when you choose willingness. You start trusting yourself not because everything goes right, but because you know you can handle things when they don't. That kind of trust can't be taught. It's built through experience. And here's something important. No one ever feels completely ready for the things that matter most. If you wait for readiness, you'll wait forever. Every meaningful leap comes with uncertainty. That's not a flaw in the process. That is the process. Willingness also changes how people see you. Not because you're flawless, but because you're present, because you show up, because you take initiative instead of waiting to be chosen. Opportunities tend to follow people who move, not people who hesitate. So let me ask you something real. Not something motivational, not something abstract. Is there something you've been saying you'll do once you're ready? A conversation you've been avoiding? A path you've been circling but not committing to? What if the only thing missing isn't preparation but permission you're waiting to give yourself? Your next big break doesn't require you to be fearless. It requires you to be willing. Willing to try, willing to learn, willing to grow in public instead of waiting to be perfect in private. Because once you choose willingness, readiness has no choice but to catch up. There's a moment in every person's journey when you realize something important. If you don't speak for yourself, your life will be shaped by people who do. And most people wait far too long for permission to use their own voice. From early on, we're taught to stay in line. Don't rock the boat. Don't say too much. Don't make things uncomfortable. And slowly, without meaning to, you start editing yourself. You shrink your opinions. You soften your instincts. You wait to be invited instead of stepping forward. But here's the truth. No one is coming to hand you authority over your own life. That part is self-assigned. Owning your voice doesn't mean being loud. It doesn't mean having all the answers. It means being honest about what you see, what you believe, and what you're willing to stand behind. And yes, sometimes that honesty makes people uncomfortable. That's not a sign you're wrong, it's a sign you're real. A lot of people confuse confidence with perfection. Real confidence is clarity. It's knowing what you stand for, even when not everyone agrees. When you speak from that place, people feel it. Not because you're trying to impress them, but because you're not trying to be anyone else. The moment you stop waiting for approval is the moment things shift. You show up differently, you make decisions faster, you stop explaining yourself to people who are never going to understand you anyway. and something surprising happens, others start listening. Not everyone, of course. And that's okay. Your voice isn't meant to reach everyone. It's meant to reach the people who need to hear you. Owning your voice also means accepting responsibility. When you speak up, you can't hide anymore. You can't blame the silence. You can't pretend you had no say. And that can feel scary at first, but it's also freeing, because once you take ownership, you gain agency. Think about the moments you regret most. They're usually not the times you spoke up and failed. They're the times you stayed quiet and let something slide that mattered to you. Silence can feel safe in the moment, but it echoes later. Your next big break doesn't come from being chosen. It comes from choosing yourself, from deciding that your perspective matters enough to be shared, from trusting that even if your voice shakes, it's still worth using. So don't wait for the perfect moment, the perfect words, or the perfect validation. Speak from where you are, with what you know, as you are. Because the world doesn't change when everyone agrees. It changes when someone decides to speak anyway. Pressure has a bad reputation. We talk about it like it's something to avoid, something that breaks people. But the truth is, pressure doesn't create weakness. It reveals what's already there. And for the people who break through, pressure becomes proof. Proof that you can handle more than you thought. Proof that you can stay steady when things get loud. Proof that your values don't disappear the moment things get uncomfortable. Most people try to escape pressure. They look for quieter paths, easier routes, less resistance. But growth doesn't live there. Growth shows up when expectations are high, when the spotlight is on, when the margin for error feels thin. Think about it. When do you really step up? When everything is easy, or when something matters enough that you can't afford to look away? Pressure forces clarity. It strips away excuses. It shows you what you actually care about, not just what you say you care about. And if you let it, it sharpens you. It teaches focus. It teaches discipline. It teaches you how to prioritize what truly matters. The key is how you interpret pressure. If you see it as a threat, it will overwhelm you. If you see it as a test, it will train you. And if you see it as an opportunity, it will elevate you. There will be moments when people doubt you out loud, when expectations feel unfair, when the room feels heavier because eyes are on you. In those moments, you have a choice. You can shrink, or you can stand taller. You can take it personally, or you can take it seriously. Turning pressure into proof doesn't mean pretending you're not stressed. It means refusing to let stress define you. It means doing the work anyway, showing up anyway, holding your standards even when cutting corners would be easier. And here's something powerful. When you perform with integrity under pressure, people notice, not because you're perfect, but because you're consistent. Consistency under pressure builds trust. Trust opens doors. Some of the most defining moments in your life will come when you're tired, doubted, and unsure, and you still choose to show up fully. Those moments don't always feel like wins at the time, but later you realize they were turning points. So don't run from pressure. Let it shape you. Let it remind you why you started. Let it prove to you, before anyone else, that you're capable of carrying responsibility and rising with it. One of the hardest decisions you'll ever make is choosing progress when it costs you approval. Because let's be real, being liked feels good. Being accepted feels safe. And from a young age, we learn how to adjust ourselves just enough to keep the peace. But here's the uncomfortable truth. If everyone is comfortable with your choices, you're probably not growing. Approval is a powerful trap. It keeps you polite, predictable, and stuck. It teaches you to measure your worth by reactions instead of results. And slowly, without realizing it, you start making decisions based on how they'll look instead of how they'll feel to live with. Progress doesn't ask for permission. It asks for honesty. It asks you to choose what moves you forward, even when it disappoints people who are used to the old version of you. And yes, that part hurts. People may question you. Some may misunderstand you. Others may pull back when you stop fitting the role they were comfortable with. That doesn't mean you're wrong. It means you're changing. Outgrowing people doesn't mean disrespecting them. It means refusing to stay small for the sake of harmony. You can be kind without being compliant. You can be respectful without being silent. Those things are not opposites. When you choose progress, you start listening inward instead of outward. You stop asking, will this make everyone happy? And start asking, will this move me closer to who I'm trying to become? That shift changes everything. And here's something important: approval is temporary. Even when you get it, it fades. There will always be another standard to meet, another expectation to manage. Progress, on the other hand, compounds. Every step forward builds confidence, skill, and self-trust. The people who truly support you will adjust. They might not understand right away, but they'll respect consistency and growth over time. And the ones who only liked you when you stayed the same, they were attached to your comfort, not your future. Your next big break will require you to disappoint someone, maybe even several people. Not because you're careless, but because you're committed. So let go of the need to be approved of at every step. Choose alignment over applause. Choose the long-term version of yourself over short-term validation. Because at the end of the day, you're the one who has to live with your decisions. And progress, real progress, feels better than approval ever could. This is where everything comes together. Because at some point, thinking turns into choosing, listening turns into acting, and waiting turns into deciding. Your life doesn't change when you understand more. It changes when you commit more. There's a moment coming, or maybe it's already here, where you'll feel the weight of a decision you can't avoid anymore. You'll know exactly what needs to be done. Not because it's easy, but because it's honest. And in that moment, the question won't be whether you're capable, it will be whether you're brave enough to stop delaying what you already know. The most powerful decisions aren't dramatic. They're deliberate. They're the quiet promises you make to yourself and keep, even when no one is watching. They're the choices that align your actions with your values, not your fears. Your future doesn't need perfection from you. It needs consistency. It needs follow-through. It needs you to show up again and again, especially on the days when motivation fades and doubt gets loud. And here's something worth remembering. You are not behind. You're not late. You're not missing your chance. But you are responsible for what you do next. No one else can make that call for you. The decision you've been avoiding isn't going away. It will either become the moment you stepped forward or the moment you wish you had. Time doesn't choose for you. It just records what you chose. So choose with intention. Choose growth over comfort. Choose courage over convenience. Choose the path that demands more from you, because that's the path that gives more back. Years from now, you won't remember the fear you felt today. You'll remember whether you honored it or let it stop you. You'll remember whether you trusted yourself enough to act. Your next big break isn't coming from the outside. It's coming from a decision only you can make. Make the call. Listen, don't look back.